It was a sometimes heated debate. These three candidates are, after all Republicans, and they agreed on a number of key GOP issues. But there were stark differences as well on things like the southern border and immigration.
I'm saying deport anybody who's here illegally. He's redefining amnesty as meaning staying here and getting government benefits or becoming a citizen. Amnesty means anybody who's here illegally has to be deported.
The only immigrant on the stage, Bernie Moreno, led the charge, demanding deportation of any illegal immigrant, meaning even those brought here as children, something all of them would do. But to secure the border, Frank LaRose would even use military intervention, drone strikes on Mexico.
The definition of a foreign terrorist organization is a group that's willing to kill our fellow Americans. These cartels are killing over 200 Americans a day with the fentanyl that they're bringing into this country. We know that this comes from China, mixed together in Mexico. We must define these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and use the full force of the U.S. military and the U.S. federal government to kill them so that they can't kill our fellow Americans.
State Senator Matt Dolan was asked about actions he's taken that seem to be at odds with Ohio Republicans on guns. He's introduced red flag laws, voted against expansion of Stand Your Ground. He says he is a strong advocate of the Second Amendment, but also a realist.
The reality is I have the guts to stand up and say, if you are a legal owner, a sportsman, you have nothing to fear from me to your Second Amendment rights. But if you own a gun illegally and use it, or if you're showing suicidal or homicidal tendencies, don't you think it's time that we step up and prevent this violent crime?
Dolan and Moreno spent much of the night taking swipes at each other. On foreign policy, Dolan supports funding Ukraine, while Moreno wants limits. On Israel, Moreno defended his comments made in the days after the Hamas invasion that Israel doesn't need U.S. support.
I would have Matt, who's a state senator, this is really important, is a state senator, call into boards of trustees at Ohio universities and fire the Palestinian terrorist sympathizing professors. Will you do that?
We have taken on higher ed. Jerry Serino has led a charge, and we are taking on higher ed. It's way more than just Ohio University, Bernie.
We learned that Dolan will vote in the Senate this week to override Governor DeWine's veto of the transgender legislation.
I voted for the bill, and I'm going to vote to override. 2 years ago, I stood up here and said biological men should not be playing sports against women. And we're going to take care of that this week. And we're going to make sure that we protect children from irreversible behavior, from irreversible medicine.
And after leading 2 unsuccessful state campaigns to restrict abortion access, LaRose now wants to take the fight to the federal level.
When it comes to federal standards, listen, the states can set their own standards, but there should be a bare minimum that we look at the federal level. And we're not a nation that should allow late-term abortion. That's the extreme position that Biden and Brown have. We're not a country that should allow a minor child to be hustled off to a Planned Parenthood facility without her parents knowing.
After the debate, they all went into the spin room to talk about who did the best job on the debate stage. But the real decision makers are you, Ohio voters, who will decide during the Republican primary which one of these men will go up against Sherrod Brown in November. From Cleveland, local for you, Colleen Marshall, NBC4.